on that. That'll be dropping real soon. And also with his first ever merch drop is Ryan. Ryan's got his shirt he's wearing as well. Braden's got the updated whiteboard behind him. Connor somehow snuck across the border and made it in time for the show tonight. Brandon's actually avoiding a barbecue for us. So first of all, Brandon's really made the hardest decision to be on here, but we're all happy to be here. We all had a bit of a different weekend, everybody going on through. And so we'll first touch on the guy that actually raced the fastest go-karts this weekend, and that was Connor up in Canada. And Connor, talk to us first about the story you had of why you even ended up over there and what you did how that all came together, because that was pretty random, I think, for everybody looking on the outside.
Yeah, when I say it was a last-minute decision, I mean it. It was Saturday, the week before, when I decided we were going to go. So we booked flights. We didn't have to book hotel because we stayed with our grandparents, which was half of the reason we went, because my mom wanted to see her parents, and they live in Toronto, Canada. So it was good to go there and see our family, and I was able to race as well in the Canadian National Karting Championship, which was a ton of fun. I enjoyed the event a lot, and everyone was really welcoming. And I had a lot of fun, and I think everyone enjoyed having me, and I enjoyed being there.
So what's your process right now going across over to get into what do you have to do just to get over there? Because if that was kind of last minute, or were you already planning to go see family, so you had everything in line with COVID?
No, the whole thing was last minute. I mean, we had no plans going there, and getting over, you had to get a COVID test. So I was in Newcastle coaching when I had to get my COVID test, and my dad called me and was like, "Hey, we're going to Canada on Monday." So, or on Tuesday. So I had to get tested for COVID. You have to have the vaccine, and so it's a whole process to go over there. And so I did all the necessary steps to get over there, and it wasn't too big of a deal. It really didn't take that long. All you have to do is really get tested, and then as long as it's negative, you're good to go.
And moving on from you, Connor, after kicking everybody's butt, I mean, through that weekend, right? You've been on the OTK stuff. That's up that way. Was it close at all for the racing for you, running with some of those guys?
Yeah, Sunday was the final on Sunday was actually really close. I mean, Ryan's racing against Woods Toth, and he's a really good driver, and he made it a battle for sure. He would gain a 10th, and I would lose a 10th. Going up to that, I mean, the weekend was pretty dominant. I'd won every single practice, qualifying, both heat races, the pre-final, and started on pole for the final. And the final was a little closer than I expected. I mean, I kind of botched the start, and I got back to third on the start. I mean, second place jumped the start, so I didn't botch it, but so I got back to third on the start, and I had to get through the field. We'll get through two people, but it wasn't easy. I mean, Woods Toth made it hard on me because he knew I was fast, so he didn't let me have it easy. And by the time I got by him, they kind of battled behind me. I got a second and a half, and by the end of the race, it was 1.2 to Woods Toth. So, I mean, he wasn't getting pulled by me. So, no, it was a good race, and he made it hard on me. 22 laps at a 57-second track is not easy. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, and the elevation there's pretty cool. I mean, Mossport's just a cool place altogether, right?
Yeah, no, it is.
That's a place that would be. I mean, that's the reason why they go there. The Canada's got 4 really solid tracks. That's one of them.
Mm-hmm. No, it was a really good track. I mean, tons of elevation, smooth, lots of grip. I really like the track, and I think if the COVID rules get deflect or get lowered a little bit, then I think it would be a good event, because I mean, it's no farther than Wisconsin or anything like that. So I think that'd be a good event for us to go to.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing we'll talk about later on in the show. There was a lot of news dropping over last week. We had new schedules coming out from just about everybody in the major parts of the sport. Rock had already put out their dates for the 2022 Florida Winter Tour. We'll get to that in a little bit. USPKS put out the biggest announcement that we've seen so far for the next season. And then that was quickly followed up 12 hours later by SCUSA with the Pro Tour and Winter Series dates. Some locations were announced by each, some were not. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Connor wasn't the only one racing this weekend. Brandon, your weekend wrapped up the CKNA South Series. Talk to me and everyone here about that, because you had kind of up and down weekend, and then just from seeing it looked like it got a little bit hairy in a couple of the races of guys getting into it in, what was it, the medium final that got pretty nasty?
It was actually the light final. we kind of struggled for speed at the beginning of the weekend, all of Friday, and then we had a shootout race Friday night that I finished third in that. And then going into Saturday, I kind of threw a lot of stuff at the go-kart and definitely learned a lot with the Coyote. And my main reason for being there was kind of to test for the CKNA Grand Nationals at Newcastle later this year. And I think we learned a lot on the go-kart. And like you said, the light final definitely got a little crazy. I was unfortunately able to watch it from the sideline because my chain blew while leading the final. We went really low on the gear ratio, so we weren't able to run the sprocket guards that most people run in the 206. And unfortunately, the chain must have been a little bit too loose. The motor moved or something like that, and we blew the chain coming out of the one hairpin while leading. Then the medium final, I kind of ran fourth the whole time. We didn't really free up the go-kart enough for the final, and just didn't really have much for the leaders. But yeah, other than that, it was a good weekend, good weather. They put on a pretty good show down there.
What do you think about Bushnell? I mean, that's a track that everyone would. That's held vintage races. I think that's the biggest touring series race they've had now. Did it still feel narrow with full size karts on it?
Yeah, it's definitely very narrow. I mean, it kind of reminds you of a rental kart track, but with a 206, it was still a little bit narrow. It was kind of hard to tell because we ran the track actually in the reverse configuration, so there was no runoff on the exit of the corners, so that made it definitely seem way more narrow. It was pretty wide on entry of the corner and then got real narrow on exit because it's normally run in the opposite direction. And the only other really complaint I had was there's a lot of sand that went everywhere, which is kind of normal in Florida. So like there was anytime someone would just drop like half a wheel, there would be sand completely littered across the track. But other than that, the layout was pretty cool. It was definitely very tight and kind of like a bull ring aspect. So the racing was really close and pretty even the whole time. But yeah, other than that, the track was really cool.
And then those guys, I know they've got a couple changes. This was the end of their first season. Besides the racing there, how was the paddock, atmosphere for a first season? Usually by the end, everyone's kind of still pretty amped up. Is that where most of the guys ended up about it?
Yeah, for sure. Everyone was definitely amped up about it. I think the only downfall that, like, compared to what I'm used to, is we practiced Friday and then raced only Saturday. We didn't do any racing on Sunday. Right. Where I think most people, and I think they already have it in the plans for next year to do a 2-day event at most of their races. I think that would definitely attract more people to come from like outside just the Florida area, because it's a long trip to make for only a 1-day race at this point.
Yeah. And especially next year if they're talking, because they're looking to get at least a little bit out of Florida and do a proper like Southeastern region series, right? With dates.
Yeah, that's what I kind of heard a couple rumors going around the paddock about that, but more of the rumors were about doing the 2-day Saturday and Sunday race events instead of just 1 day.
Fair enough. Let's see, Ryan, off track stuff. You and Paulie got merch coming out this weekend. You had a big video you put out. Where can everybody go and check all that stuff out? And how much more can we expect? Do we have hats coming on the way? And how's everything been going with it?
Well, you can go on my Instagram and on my Facebook. I have a link to the site and everything where you can go buy it. It was just something I did. I mean, I've been working on it for a little bit. People have asked for it, so I just kind of put it together and put it out there. But it's just to kind of help the channel. I mean, it's not really, I don't really care if I sell it or anything. It's just more for people to support the channel and basically donate to me if you want, for all the videos that I do. That's basically what it is. It's not really I'm not a merch store, so I'm not really into it just for the clothes or anything. So it's just a way for people to show their support for the channel and what I do. So yeah, it was cool. It was a lot of designing. My girlfriend helped me a lot with it because I don't have an eye for that stuff. So you can thank her if you like the way it looks.
Oh, all right. Throwing her right under the bus right off the bat if we get any hate on the design.
Come on.
Man, that's terrible. You put her out already. We haven't even got it going. There's no hype at all.
Oh, my God.
No. It looks good. It looks good. Paulie, your stuff's out here too, man. Show everyone what you got. You got your brand. Your name is smaller on it. It's just the nickname shirt, right?
Yeah, it's just a little something that I just threw together real quick. Not much to it.
That's all you got to say.
On-brand
Pretty
sales
silent.
right there.
That's pretty
I'm trying
silent.
to tee you up what we can, man.
Nah, just
You always
I
ask
have,
us to let you talk, but when we let you talk, you don't talk.
All right. Anyway, so when you said it, my dad kind of took it and he was like, I kind of liked it. So we have a buddy of ours that helps us out with this stuff, and he kind of just threw a design together and plopped them out. And now I don't really know where they're gonna go, but we'll see.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, again, the last guy that we need to talk to here that had a very, very big weekend is Mr. Brad. Braden, talk to me. You know, you came into karting for the last few weeks, having fun, and then you go back to the stress of the Indy cars again. And this one was a good one. This was a good way to end the summer break.
Yeah, you know, it's we only have 2 oval races for the whole schedule, and Lucas Oil is a terrible oval. Nobody likes it. The Gateway is the one everyone looks forward to. It's like, I mean, it's small for IndyCar, but it's quite big for us. We were like really close to being flat in 3 and 4, but it's so tense because you're going so fast, and like on the big ovals, it's crazy. It's sketch, and it's like the difference between the whole field is like a tenth or two of a second. So it's crazy. It was good to get the win. I definitely think it was nice to go back and do some karting. You know, be in the seat during all that time definitely helped me out to go after the break when everyone else was a bit rusty. But yeah, it was a fun weekend.
And let's talk about the whiteboard. Ryan is the only one here that has experience racing ovals on karting. You were telling us our story before, Ryan. What are your thoughts about putting an oval into the national circuit?
It's fun. I did a few ovals with RPG, not RPG, OGP back in the day with Oliver and Kyle and Nick Neri and Alex Speed and Gary Carlson. So I got thrown in the deep end of oval racing, but it was interesting. I mean, it's just kind of if you want to pass somebody, you just punt them, and then it's basically everybody else crashes behind you, and then you can avoid the crash, then you're good, and you can finish well. It would be interesting to see. I don't know how that would work out. I think it would be pretty dangerous, just knowing all of us. So
Newcastle
I don't
Bull
know.
Ring.
Yeah, well, that's right? Like oval racing isn't a novel thing to the sport. The dirt oval racing is bigger than even what the sprint racing side is, right? Brandon, I know you've been to a handful of races around that. You grew up around that scene, not necessarily in the dirt oval scene, but you know exactly what I'm talking about there. And it's exactly right? Like those races literally come down to the last like lap, and when they have like their 50K on the line, the leader just gets spun. Like he's going to get chunked like and they low line it, right? There's the micro sprint racing that goes on to like Millbridge is cool because there's actually like a second lane. And I mean, back in the day when you had like the carts were the same and guys ran, you know, your Lynn Haddock era of like the 70s where guys ran everything, you know, the carts were the same back and forth, but now they're just like matted on the bottom, like white line the whole way. And then sometimes one guy will hit the tire prep right and get gone, but most of the time he just gets punted for $10,000 in the last corner.
I always think of like when you look at the corners that we have that are like oval style, you look at like the last corner at Ocala is like the most ovally track we have. And every time you go to pass somebody there, they just turn into you. And so I assume that's all you'll have if you
You gotta get some banking though, so there can be 2 lanes.
Okay, I think the best track
Jacksonville
that we
has
could
You
do.
can't do that.
You need progressive banking, right? If it's just regular banking, we'll just run the bottom, you know, or you put
Yeah.
like the PJ1 down that NASCAR's been doing.
Yeah, progressive.
Yeah, it had to be real. Well, then we'd scrape frames. Then we'd have the same problem we have to go to
Exactly.
Homestead. That's why no one wants
Yeah,
to
all
go to
gotta go to the
Homestead this year
high-rise.
for Winter Series. I don't know
All
if we
right,
can
all
do it.
But
All
if
right.
my memory is correct, Sonoma has an oval around the outside,
Yeah,
and I think that place would be pretty fun.
that would be.
You know,
that would
have
be
a
like
quick little
Pocono.
chicane.
Oh,
Dude,
like kind
dude.
of like a street oval.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it would
That's
would
not
just
a good
it would
idea.
be like it wouldn't be like a flat out oval with like turns like OGP. Like, you know, if you ran like you're saying turn one, last turn, and then like you just go straight through the backstretch cut through, right, Braden? Like you have the bend in the
Yeah.
back and you have the 2 ends. That would be like what IndyCar tries to do. That would be like a Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Like that would actually, I think that'd actually be pretty cool because there'd be like some technicality to it.
yeah.
but-
Well, it would still be corners, and you could still pass, but like it would be a massive draft back.
That'd
Yeah.
be cool. pack racing and go-karts.
Yeah, well,
Racing,
I think everyone's probably sick of that after the way Newcastle went.
Oh God.
No, I mean, both
I don't
days
think
someone
we really-
checked out.
Yeah, I don't think we really that much pack racing. But.
No, you were just for second, and then you were giving Ryan the win on a platter. That's what I
Why
was
you
getting
guys keep
pissed
doing
when-
that?
Yeah.
There's literally every race I've won except for a few. I haven't really checked out. It's just everybody fights on the first lap, and then I have like a 2-second lead, and then I just
It's
stay
just
there.
don't choke.
I can't answer that. I mean, I thought I was doing it the right way with Braden, but
Yeah, we were doing it the right way. We were
Someone
doing it
ruined
the
it
right
for
way.
us.
We were pushing. We were keeping our heads down,
Uh,
and that plan got ruined.
well, before we get canceled with everyone getting too mad about Newcastle again, we're trying to move everybody on from that week. So, guys, send us in your questions here over the commercial break. When we come back, it's time to break down where we're going in 2022 and what series we think. It's almost like the stock market of picking which one comes out on top. All the info that we've got so far and that has come out over the scene in the last week and a half and what we think might happen, we'll let you guys know. Again, right after we come back from our first commercial break here. Send the questions in. Those come in, obviously, at the very end of the show. So stick with us, guys. KC Happy Hour, episode number 7, live here on Monday, August 23rd. KC Happy Hour is presented by Precision Performance Karting. PPK is the exclusive South Florida dealer for Coyote Motorsports kart racing chassis and Coyote's newest distributor. However, owner John Seglem and Coyote Motorsports' relationship spans across numerous decades in the sport, meaning that you've got years of winning expertise at your service. PPK offers trackside support at all of the CKNA South Division events, the CKNA majors, such as the Spring Nationals and the Grand Nationals, the Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and a number of club races in the Southeast. PPK also has an impressive driver roster at these events, racking up multiple wins and podiums in 2021 with longtime Coyote Motorsports driver Chris Carroll and KC Happy Hour's own Paulie Massimino and Brandon Jarsakrak. If you're looking to get on the same race-winning equipment as these drivers, from the Coyote Motorsports chassis to the Odenthal motor mounts and Greyhound racing seats, Precision Performance Karting has you covered. Check out Precision Performance Karting on Facebook and Instagram or email them at ppkartingfl@gmail.com.
Welcome to Ohio Kart Parts, the Midwest's largest Burrell Art racing go-kart dealer. We carry Burrell Art, Daniel Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc, and Robert Kubica branded go-karts, as well as parts from names you trust. Chassis components from Freeline, engines from IAME, Briggs & Stratton, and soon-to-be Tillotson, electronics from AIM Technologies, MG Tires, Taika Axles, seating from Tillett, Arai Helmets, and 3/10 Race Products. Visit us online at www.ohiokartparts.com, at our facility in Lorain, Ohio, or at the local track on race weekends. If we don't have it, call us at 440-628-CART. That's 5278. And we will do what we can to help you out.
KC Happy Hour is presented by Rollison Performance Group, North America's top karting team. RPG is a full-time operation that is fully focused on driver development and furthering your karting career. Each RPG team member benefits from data and coaching by multi-time national champions, including the likes of Ryan Norberg, Luke Selikin, Austin Garrison, and more. Team owner Mike Rollison is a highly decorated driver himself, and he knows what it takes to win. He brings that same culture and expertise with him at each event RPG attends, regularly being one of the first in the pit area when gates open, and one of the last to leave. RPG also offers individual and group coaching days at its home base at Pat's Acres Racing Complex in Canby, Oregon. Here, the team is able to do specialized drills and spend hours focused on different driving techniques and skills, preparing drivers to go out and dominate at the next race. Because winning isn't just done on the race weekend. It's accomplished by putting in time outside of the races as well. If you're looking to take your karting career to the next level, or if you're looking to win races, then check out Rollison Performance Group on Facebook and Instagram, as well as their official website, rollisonpg.com. First. All right, guys. So welcome back here. We've got a lot to talk about of what we just went over right before the break, which is the new schedules we've got for 2022. So the first few series starting to come out. Again, they're dropping hints of where they're going to go. They are announcing where they can and where they want to go. Contracts ultimately are what's going to limit or set guys when they can say that. And there's a bit of strategy too, right? Because at the end of the day, all these promoters are trying to be the biggest promoter out there. So let's go through what we do know here for 2022 so far. And there was a lot of new stuff that came out over the course of the week. So first of all, with the US PKS series, right? We'll go over here. and talk our way through that for everyone to see. So this is straight off their press release. They talked about how they're going to be going 2 new tracks and 2 returning tracks for 2022. You can see at the bottom, they're going to bring back Road America, bring back Newcastle. Obviously, they can't go back to Ocala, so that was going to open up a slot anyway. And now with the success of the IAMA USA Grand National Championship, GoPro as a track, and of course being in the same ownership group as IAMA East, that can be the track to kind of sacrifice for that series to grow. Because again, we talked about it when we did our hype schedule or imaginary schedules, even in the last couple episodes, that these series really rely on these tracks having a massive group of drivers there already that they benefit from, because the top local guys will go up head to head with the top national guys on it. So Road America's got a great touch in the Midwest. Newcastle obviously is the biggest club in the country, and they've got a huge area in the Midwest as well. Road America's almost even a little bit too far north for some of those guys, but they're going to take out GoPro. That'll be probably just the IAMA USA Grand National Championship, which also got confirmed for 2022. Probably be a little bit different dates as everything shuffles, because they're going to start earlier with USPKS in March. They're going to end it earlier in September. So unlike this year, September is a dead month for us. That's going to change. But looking just between the lines, right? Southwestern US, that could mean a whole lot of different things. Everyone's been talking about speed sports for a good bit. We've talked about it. That's a track that's right now the kind of the premier Texas track, the TSR Texas State Sprint Racing Series. Whenever they have an issue with one of the other Texas tracks they try to go to, that's been their fallback. So like this year, for example, I think they're going there twice. And Amarillo is another really nice facility that would be probably on par, but the track's honestly a little bit big, and then it just doesn't really have any club scene. That's if they count Texas in the Southwest U.S. If you go to tracks that can hold a 200-plus entry Southwestern, and then it counts as Southwest U.S., you got Phoenix. That's an option. You've also got Tucson, Arizona, which would be probably a really lower probability. But Phoenix is a decent club. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because these series are they've been playing nice with each other to try and stay between the lines for a while. SCUSA doesn't go too far east. USPKS doesn't go too far west. But now it seems like they're figuring out a way or just deciding they want to go a little bit more. And there definitely have been West Coast teams coming. So wherever that Southwestern U.S. date comes, that's going to be interesting. And then the Florida Racers date, right? That's the big question too. So we've lost Ocala. Homestead is a track that even SCUSA didn't want to put on their schedule. If we pull up the SCUSA schedule that was announced over the break as well, they're going to go back to the same tracks they did in 2021 and what was originally the schedule for 2020, which was NOLA Motorsports Park. That date moved a month later to April. We're going to go back to Utah. That Spring Nats date is moved into June, which is an important part and important thing to note for the Pro Tour. They're trying to do what USPKS thinks benefited from the last couple of years, and that's having the majority of their long distance dates that are kind of out of the way from the home base being during the summer when the kids' classes are out of school. Whereas in this year, it was a lot tougher for kids to go all the way to Utah, and you saw that in junior and mini and micro that suffered. Next year, June and July, the 2 Pro Tour dates will be able for anyone to go and get to. But what's interesting, of course, they haven't announced their Winter Series dates or locations either. So neither of the Winter Series, none of the winter dates actually are set, because USPKS doesn't have their March date set in stone. Rock does not have any of their 3 lined up. SCUSA does not have any of theirs lined up, obviously. And Homestead is the only track that has a really major following. Orlando, right? Ryan, we always talk about it with you on here. Wanting to get some dates back. Could potentially do it. It would be a really tight fit if one of those series was big enough to bring them there. But obviously they're vying, and the only other really permanent tracks you have are like Anderson Race Park and Bushnell, which both of them, as Brandon was talking about with Bushnell, is a little bit on the narrow side. Anderson is very narrow and very short, so there's not really another national facility. So we might be racing a whole lot more temporary tracks in 2022. And I don't know. I'm not sure if anyone was expecting SCUSA even to go with the same tracks they went through for the 2022 Pro Tour, but that's going to be, I don't know, it's just interesting to see. And then obviously USPKS taking some big swings to trying to switch their stuff up.
I hope a lot of it goes to Orlando, honestly. I hope Orlando, because, I mean, I'm sure he'll make room. I mean, if you told him that you needed to have enough space, Andre would tear down like 3 buildings and just make the space. Like, I doubt he would ever, like, not have enough space. But, yeah, I mean, I hope Orlando, and I think, honestly, if you look at the schedules, USPKS is around like the first or the second round in April. Looks to be around the same time as the well, it's a few weeks after, but they're probably not going to go far from NOLA because I doubt you're going to have these guys go to NOLA, like from NOLA to like Phoenix or something. It's just a big trek for those guys. So I think Speed Sports is probably what you're looking at. If I just had a hunch, there's a big local following over there. There's a lot of guys, a lot of Texas people racing now. So I think you'll probably get a Speed Sports, and I'm hoping SCUSA will go to Orlando. And honestly, I hope the Rock does not do that many of the street courses because I'm getting tired of running street courses every single winter. It's like just constant, just destroy go-karts and have no bottom end. And yeah, bumpy racetracks everywhere.
Norberg with no bottom end.
No, we're not doing this every
That's
single
wrong.
week. Connor, what did we just
Nah,
say?
it's a joke.
We get into the show
I
every
knew you were-
single time.
I did it because I knew you were gonna get mad.
Yeah,
That's why I did it.
Yeah. Motors are us, man.
Braden's just glad I'm the one who said it.
Braden's the one wanting oval racing. Braden's all hyped up after his oval win. I don't think you realize oval racing is even less like your driver and even more equipment. So if you really think equipment is what's kicking your butt, dude, Ryan apparently is just going to win by 30 seconds when we go oval racing. So it's just stupid. He won by like
Nah.
whatever.
I'm gonna take a guess on the 2 tracks for USPKS.
All right, let's see it.
Bring the sheets back up. I need to see
Yeah,
this.
yeah. All right, so here's
All right.
Yeah, bring the
Uh,
sheets back up. Bring the sheets
Yeah,
back up.
there you go. Here's your USPKS one. A little bit tougher to
All
see.
right.
But
I'm guessing March 3 to 6 is gonna be at Cincinnati.
well, no, March
then-
March 3
Yeah,
to 6
you're,
is the
you're
It's gonna
having
be
a laugh.
snow on the
You're-
ground.
You're having a laugh.
Yeah, that won't work. No, so read between the lines here, boys. Everyone take a quick look at what we've got for the USPKS schedule because they hint about it, and that's why we left some of the top parts in, right? So event number 1 is confirmed. All right, you can see recognizing the importance of the Florida karting market and the huge support of the series by Florida racers. The series opener on March 3 to 6 in 2020 will likely be in Florida again. That's not a guarantee, but obviously they're seeing that. And so the 2 tracks they're probably eyeing up are Orlando and Homestead. And Homestead is, the lesser track, but the bigger local following and the track that's easier to pull, more foreigners in. Orlando's got a big airport too, but either one, right? If you're going to go Florida, you're going to expect hope to get South Americans and some Europeans in. So that there, and then they say that round number 2, April 28th to May 1st, but Ryan's a good point, right? So if you look at that date, April 28th to May 1, right? That's only 3.5 weeks removed from in NOLA. So yeah, you could make the teams go out there, but if we're doing test weekends, any East Coast team, they're probably not going to have time to bring the rig home if they want to go do the primer weekend over in like a place like Phoenix, if it goes all the way out there, because for them to go all the way back for a couple days and prep stuff and bring it, I don't know if they have to do that. Now, if it's in Texas, it's a lot different. They could go back up and come back down, but if they go way, way out there, which again, it'd be a really gutsy move if they go all the way out there, obviously south, but you kind of want to dip your toes in the water before you jump in head first,
Don't we have to talk about this being SCUSA? Like, do they really care about logistics with other series?
Well, this is USPKS is the one in the driver's seat with it, right? They're the one with the ladder date. So SCUSA obviously doesn't mind wherever they're going to go. But for USPKS, if they're trying to catch up, right, and to continue building the momentum they've got and be up at the same level as Pro Tour, then it's up to them of whether or not they cater to the teams. For SCUSA, they've been the gold standard, so they can kind of set the standard. What was interesting is USPKS finally beat them to the punch this year, and they were 12 hours before the SCUSA announcement came out, which was, I don't know, funny to notice.
What do you guys think about the SCUSA tracks? Same tracks as always, huh? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
I mean,
Bad thing.
it didn't work out too well.
I mean, for Ryan, he's gonna say it's a good thing because he's always fast at Utah.
Actually, I don't like NOLA that much. I like UMC a lot, obviously, but I'm like not the biggest fan of Newcastle. But the thing is, they have their tracks, which it's nice to know what to expect there. I mean, it's good on the teams when they can figure out their year and it's not thrown on them last second. So, I mean, these are tracks that are really easy for the teams to get in and out of, and it's easy to do test weekends before for our team. So it's good that they have the tracks that they like stick with and support for, just the logistics side.
Right. And, again, at least, right, we talk about, we're just talking at the beginning of the show with Bushnell, okay, and even Anderson. Let's say even if a track has the capability, one of our comments here was from Banu Yedla, who was asking when we would be able to bring Kart Chaser to Atlanta Motorsports Park, and that's my home track. I love that place. That place on paper is long enough to host a national. It's only got the pit space for about 100, 120 entries, like max. So if you really knock it down, we're down to less than probably 10 tracks in the country that could host a Pro Tour, because no matter what, Pro Tour, Newcastle was 250. I think Utah might have just dipped under 200, but they're all 200, and they're all with big rigs. It's not like we're 200 entries with pickup trucks. So those big rigs got to get in. Like in Atlanta, when I say Atlanta has 100, 120, 110 entries, that's all like pickup trucks and little trailers. Like if you brought one big rig back down that road, you would have to. It's a double lane access road for like a mile around the outside of the racetrack. We'll pull up a video maybe after the break to show it. But like Raleigh's rig, for example, or the Trinity rig or the PSL rig would be the only one allowed probably in the pit area, and then would have to back up like the whole way. Like they wouldn't have room to turn the thing around. So there's only so many tracks they can go to, and only so many they can go to at certain points of the year, right? If you're going to run year round, you've got just a handful of places you can actually take the tour to, because you can't go up to Newcastle I guess you can go in early April now, but the schedule tightened up too, right? Like, even if you just look at dates, I think USPKS had a lot of momentum this year because a lot of their races were closer together. And so guys were looking at that championship. Like, I know even for me, right before we did our interview, I asked Ryan where the points were at for Pro Tour, because we hadn't run in like 2 months. We were kind of forgetting where we were at because the other series we've all been racing was closer. That's where everybody knew where the points were.
I like that the schedule's closer like that. It makes it a lot easier on everybody. And honestly, with the tracks as well, like you got to think with SCUSA, they like to they've always, like you said, they were the gold standard for the past couple of years and everything. So going to a track like NOLA and UMC and Newcastle, it's like those are the heavy hitter tracks around the country. I mean, there's not many better facilities that can hold like a big, they put on a good show. So I think that's part of it's also just trying to put on a good presentation for everybody and showing that we're still trying, we're still the gold standard, at least attempting to be, with USPKS coming up on them.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Paulie, since Paulie's been talking much. Paulie, what 2 tracks do you think USPKS will pick?
I'm hoping, since it's going to be at Florida, I'm hoping Orlando. I don't want to go to Homestead.
No.
And I'm thinking they're probably going to go to Speed Sports or Phoenix.
Nah, they're not going to go to Phoenix. I feel like Phoenix is a SCUSA-dominated track.
They're not going to go to Phoenix.
But I don't know.
There's no way.
Nah, I can't see USPKS going.
Like more than half the entries are all KA racers that are doing KA because it's cheaper. They're not going to go out to Phoenix. Like then you're killing off the whole KA grid at that point. KA is not going to be as big as X30 if you go all the way out to Phoenix.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
at that point, then people are like, well, we're not in the championship. Well, we might do 1 or 2 here and there, and that's not really how you do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know. I thought the same. And then this year we showed up at Utah and I think we had like 45, 46K seniors. I thought it would go a whole lot lower. Like it ended up going up from where it was at NOLA. And like NOLA was 27, and we still had 45 out there. Now, granted, that's like the one West Coast race of the year. So how many of those West Coast guys will do a full schedule and not knowing the USPKS brand? Maybe. You probably won't get your East Coast guys to go, but
I don't think you're going to get. I think the KA is the class that will have consistent numbers. I think you see it in all the other classes. X30 always takes a hit in Utah. Even this year at Newcastle, I mean, that's probably the smallest race in Newcastle for X30 that we've had in years. I mean, normally it's 60, 70 guys in X30, and now we had 30, like 35, I think was the max. It was definitely the smallest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been barking up that tree for a while, and then we'll lightly touch on it, not to go too deep into the show. Maybe talk a little bit more when we get some guests going, because we'll bring in some guests next week, guys. But that's another question with the sport now, because in the last decade, the Yamaha class was so much less attractive than KA. I don't think you ever really saw guys jump over to it from X30, like very rarely, right? Like, Brandon, you you ran both, and you saw like TJ Coyne was a guy who jumped over, was a top level USPKS tag guy and went and ran it, and only maybe a handful would go because it was so much slower, right? And now like KA stuff isn't that much slower. It's it's a decent bit less competitive to at least run mid-pack. Talking with some guys, seems like they're spending still the similar program, so it just comes down to parts pricing and maybe one less set of tires. For like the front runners, they'll still run with the same number of motors, but at least the mid-pack guys will show up with one motor, and it doesn't seem like a lot of guys want to do that with X30 anymore. And now we're like splitting top guys between Pro Shifter and X30. But I mean, Brandon, I don't know if you saw maybe more of that running more often in like series that had both, where like guys would jump down to 100cc, but I don't think you see anything like what you see now.
I mean, yeah, definitely back in the day when I was a frequent 100cc and 125cc runner, you saw it not very often. I think I was maybe one of the only ones, and like you said, maybe TJ Coyne was the other one. It was kind of just a way bigger speed difference back then, because Yamaha was definitely probably about a second and a half slower than what the KAs are now. But I think now you're seeing a lot more people running either both at nationals or just KA, because KA's kind of taken over like all the club scenes around the country, especially like where I'm used to run or working at is GoPro. You barely see any X30s there anymore, and you see mostly KAs in junior and senior. And I think it's just a way better, more affordable club engine, and people are even taking it to national stuff because that's what they're used to running at their club stuff.
Yeah. Well, speaking of club stuff, let's switch gears to something that was pretty funny over the weekend. So we talked back at Newcastle about how Austin Garrison and Thomas Annunziata had a side-by-side finish that got reversed by cameras. But this was actually an even closer finish that happened over the weekend at Newcastle. So if we go here, this is on board Ayrton Grimm. He was side-by-side with Eli Warren coming to the start-finish line. We'll pause it right as we get towards the yellow line right here. And if you go full screen on it, you can see these guys are nose to nose. It's tough to tell that they're, with the way that his helmet cam looks, that they are dead even. They came across the line at a 0.000. And contrary to popular belief, the timing system does not go beyond that. So when it's done, it's just randomized of who beats who. It's not going to a hidden 10,000th mark. So then Mike Adams and the crew at Newcastle Motorsports Park, they went to work and said, okay, well, let's do what we normally do. And they went to measure the carts from the front bumper back to where the transponder was mounting. So I think they've been mounting on the back of the seat. Then when they did that, both drivers ended up having the same exact measurement. So that didn't work to break the tie up. So what they did is they decided to give both the kids the medal, and actually the dad, great idea, cut the medal in half. So Mike said this is only the second time in history, and Newcastle is already coming up on almost 20 years of operation. It started in the early 2000s when they started hosting big races. They hosted a lot of races over the years. They raced the club season, like I think 16 rounds. I mean, they're racing every single weekend. It's one of the tracks that like doesn't have a big rental scene because they're so popular that every series wants to go there, and their club is really popular that they just can host an owner race every Saturday or every Sunday or both. But out of all that, only one other time he said that he has seen where they had a dead tie. And so both parents were really supportive. Both John and Alyssa Grimm, Ayrton's parents, were really supportive of it all. It was a fun deal for both of the kids. They both obviously raced there a lot. Eli Warren as well. It was the other kids side by side. And Eli's dad messaged me, and he's like, hey, just from a club perspective, right? These guys don't have cameras. They didn't have what we had at SCUSA, where you had about 10 photographers looking at the start-finish line, and that's what started the protest. And then obviously SCUSA didn't use the camera picture. They used their video system to look at the protest and decide who was across the line. And that wasn't even a dead tie. That was about 15 thousandths of a second, then reversed by about a bumper. This was a straight-up tie. So he was brainstorming fun ideas, and let's keep fun in it because it is club racing. Of what do you do in that case, right? Transponder, same spot. Kids were exact same spot across the line. He had a couple ideas he threw at me, and viewers, we'd love to hear what you guys think about it. He's like, what do you think? Maybe we have these kids almost go to the karting version of penalty kicks. Take them out of the scale line, make them put their helmet back on, go run a hot lap with the tires right after they ran it. Whoever goes the faster single lap or faster second lap or however you do it, novel ways of how you break a tie like that. Because obviously there's the boring way of you could go, fast lap in the session, or you could go pre-final. I mean, we could do it Cars, the original Cars movie style, right? Do a run back head-to-head race with just the top two. So I don't know if any of our guys have any cool ideas, but I'd love to have any of you guys and the viewers as well come up with different ideas of what do? You break a tie, the camera system doesn't work, and especially at the club level, how would you want these guys to settle it?
Talladega Nights style. A sprint on the last straightaway at Newcastle.
I was just about to say the same thing. I was like, just do 20 laps, but no go-karts. Just the first to quit is a loser.
So you're telling me I'm gonna have to start working out before Newcastle?
You have to do 20 laps running around Newcastle. It's gonna be like
first to quit,
miles.
you lose, man.
I better start working out.
Oh my god, that's a marathon.
20 miles. Yeah, it is a marathon. 20 miles. Oh my god,
that would be pretty crazy. All right, going through some of the
I
comments.
like the two car shootout. I like the shootout idea.
Yeah. How many laps you give them? Give them 2 laps?
2
Let
laps,
them
yeah.
duke it out right off the bat?
3.
well, who gets pole?
I give them 3.
It's gonna come down to the last corner,
It
no
doesn't
matter
matter
what,
who
Molly.
gets pole.
So
Come on.
Yeah,
They box for the they fist fight for the pole.
put a boxing ring right outside the scale house.
Smart. All the
That was fight for
8-year-olds
the
that are
pole.
Yeah.
Make
That
them
would probably
fight to the
always-
death. Pistol fight. Shootout.
Yeah, but that wouldn't work.
Drinking match. First to pass out loses.
You
Shootout.
cannot do a boxing ring like that. He's got like probably at least 25 pounds on him and like a whole
Oh yeah,
foot.
it's
No
an L.
way.
It's an L.
That's his fault. Got to be
Just
ready
get
for stuff
taller.
like that.
Rock, paper, scissors.
It would be funny to see. Let's see. Rock, paper, scissors. Another good option. One of our comments was suggesting a drinking match. Again, sadly, they're kids. Look at
Someone said drink water the fastest, so we can go with that
There
one
you go. All right.
for the kids.
Water,
There we
chug
go.
some Capri Suns, so we can put
Pistol
down more Capri
fight.
Suns. Pistol fight. I don't know. It's just something noteworthy, right? Shout out, of course, to both the kids, Eric Ingram, Eli Warren. Super quick around Newcastle. Hopefully, I think both of them are going to be running and gearing up for the CKNA Grand Nationals. It's actually going to be our next big event that we do. So kudos to both those kids putting on a good show in 206 racing there, and we'll definitely have to talk to them when we get our video crew out there. So we'll be at that one, of course. That's our next bigger event. In fact, there's some other big events coming up too. There's the Tillotson World Finals. A couple guys are going over for. Have Colin Warren and Tyler McIntyre and Mick Gabriel, I think, that have all got tickets. So we'll try and talk to them in the next few weeks and a few more. But before we wrap up tonight's show, we got one more segment to come in the last bit of your viewer Q&A. So if you've got any other ideas of what those kids should do here to my left here, or for any of the guys we've got on screen, because you may not get to see all of them every single week for the next few weeks as we keep cycling guests through, or you might. We'll see. But if you've got any other questions or any suggestions for Braden to up the whiteboard game, let us know during the commercial break. When we come back, guys, KC Happy Hour episode number 7, August 23rd, right here live on YouTube and Facebook.
I'm Billy Vincent, owner of MPG Motorsports. What we do at MPG is we try to keep it a nice, fun family atmosphere, try to combine sort of the bigger things and of the bigger teams and the professionalism down with sort of some of the fun sort of family-oriented atmosphere. We try to not only develop drivers, but also the parents and the families for just in knowledge in general in motorsports. It all starts in karting. What we try to do is try to help the drivers, the moms, the dads understand the sport of motorsports in general, not just karting, but what it takes to get all the way up through. Whether you end up wanting to be a driver or a mechanic or an engineer, you know, we can help you with that, and that's what we're here for. If you're interested in joining us at MPG, our home base is at Whiteland Raceway Park in Indianapolis, and you can contact us at info@willpowerkart.com. And one of our great people will reach out to you, and we'll try to put the best program together.
I'm Alex Speed, the team principal here at Speed Concepts Racing. We have an elite karting program. We really focus on giving the drivers the tools they have to take to the next level. We don't really want to, it's important to win racing and go-karting, but really give the kids the tools they need to hopefully become professional racing drivers. We're on the OTK Red Speed Kart. We have our own in-house motor program with Speed Lab. We do really competitive in the national races, but again, our main focus is really giving the kids, the tools they have, looking at data, looking at video to really give them arsenal to go on to car racing and hopefully be successful.
Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/speedconceptsracing or email us at speedconceptsracing@gmail.com.
Well, guys, welcome back here again. We've been waiting for some more of your viewer questions to come on in. I know Connor has been reading the chat, and he lives on there on YouTube. We'll have the Facebook questions come in as well. One we just got here from Ryan Perry, and he was asking, what do we think about New Jersey Motorsports Park for a U.S. Pro Kart Series race? Brandon, Northeastern guy, you would know probably with the Mike Doty team how big stuff is out there. OVRP club races look like they're doing good. Do you think we have enough tag guys at least that the KAs would kind of end up all right and we'd have some good X30 and mini and micro numbers?
Yeah, I think we'd be all right going up there. They definitely, like New Jersey Motorsports Park's got probably the biggest pit area that we go to out of any track on the schedule right now. So there's no problem with parking people. As far as numbers go, like Oakland Valley's got a lot, but it's really not that far away from like the GoPro area. Newcastle's probably about like a 10-hour ride, but I mean, that's what most of us do to go to Newcastle or to like Road America. So I think if we did a race in New Jersey, people from the normal USPKS people would still wind up coming.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like too far, right? I mean, that'd be cool. That's a national track that hasn't gotten love in a while. I know NOLA's issue for a little bit and Pitt's issue for a little bit was pricing. So it'd be cool if we could go there. Obviously, if they're hosting regional events, right, you'd think that the pricing would be good. And I don't know, is the management there seems like it's been stable for the last few years. I haven't really heard anything out of that. Have you heard a whole lot out of the track of good or bad of the guys running it or how involved they are in trying to do more?
At NJMP you're talking?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not been the best over the past few years, but I think they're working on it because there's been more and more races coming there. Like there was a few years where there was nothing but their like local series there and maybe like the Gear Up series. But now they at least got like the Road Tax races there this year, and the Gear Up series still has their race there. And I've heard rumors going around from some of the races that we've been there that
We lost him.
Oh no, he's gone. Mr. Barbecue,
get it
out of
happen.
here.
I guess
Are we there?
Oh, we're back.
Oh, we're back.
We're back. All right. Usually it's me. All right. You were saying though, the rumors of some other racing coming.
There's rumors going around the pits when we go there that they've been in contact with USPKS to go there, but I think it's just ironing out the final details of like how much the track rental would be and everything like that.
Right. I think a lot of the tracks often overlook how much those series actually make. I think everybody here kind of decently has a good idea, especially Ryan, Brandon, and probably Braden, who have been around it enough to hear everyone talk. But right now, like a series like a SCUSA or any of the major ones that has a tire importer or engine importer or both, they can subsidize the series a bit. Or Rock, for example, that's how Rock's able to pull off their parking lot races, because you could put 200 entries in a parking lot and 9 times out of 10, you don't make money, at least with the way the karting races are structured right now. So the tracks, they think that the big race coming in is the revenue. Really, I think the big place where the revenue and hopefully for any tracks that are listening or guys that can tell their tracks is the residual income you get. The test weekend before, the testing the week of, but even more so like your club guys, that's their marquee race, and that's going to build your club scene. It's also why it's so tough for like tracks when they lose a date on the national schedule, because a lot of the time that track's like owner karting schedule and like income and is based around having that big race, So, but Jersey would be super cool to have. Let's see what other questions we've got. Connor, pick it out from the YouTube chat. Has there been anything worthwhile you think you can see?
I've seen one that kind of caught my eye. What do you think of Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati? And I've heard a lot of good things about it. Well, not right now, but I've heard good things to come.
Right.
So I think if in the future, if they keep progressing and build the track up and expand it, I think it'll become a top tier facility and track. And I really hope so, because I've seen a lot of karting tracks in my 10 years of racing. I've seen a lot of karting tracks disappear from the scene, and I haven't really seen a lot of new ones come in. So I think it'd be really good to see a new one come in.
Yeah, I think, if you talk to Sean Bailiff, they've got since he's been able to get into ownership of that place, because the Bailiff family, they were operating it for a handful of years. Now they're able to fully own it and control it. And so that track's gone from kind of a a hidden gem that's been a very small little country club to now being something pretty massive. They've got a full fleet of rental carts ready to go. They haven't started doing that. That'll generate a lot of revenue for them. I know he'd like to do a second building. That would be a dedicated owner building. So you'd have like a nice little retail area for the owner track that isn't putting people in the country club building. That would be huge for them. There's a lot of improvements. If they're able to make them, that would make that track easily a national level one. Again, we've talked about it too. Like it'd be tough to go 2 tracks in the same region with it being so close to Newcastle. But that's definitely a track, especially if they do the repave, if they do some of the shuffling. One thing that was interesting at the Stars race, you can take a look at the overhead of the track, and maybe we'll pull it up on the next episode. But the pit lane entry where you come off the racetrack is halfway down the front straightaway when you're full throttle on the outside lane. So when the guys duck off, it's not like a nice blend. It's kind of a sharp turn. So when we had 30 carts on track for KA Stars with the Stars Championship Series there, they were having to mandate guys putting their hands up in the air so that way you wouldn't get clobbered coming down right at the flag stand, because it goes underneath the flag stand, almost like a quick little tunnel, because it's a wooden flag stand that overhangs it, and it's right next to the track, and you go under the flag stand. So you can't like fly in and drop a wheel. If you drop a wheel, you're going to wad it into the wood. So you have to go slow going in. That's something if they do the restructuring, they would do. But like right now, if you took a series that had 40 go-karts in it, especially as stupid as some of the practice sessions can be at national races and like the kids classes, really, it was good that it was an adult class that was big. That would be pretty disastrous with the pit lane right now. They got a little work to do, but I think they've got a really good management group behind it. We talked about Jersey, the Bailiff family running that track. Those guys are, Sean and his wife and the kids, they're there every single day and literally live there. So I think everyone's kind of excited about them for the industry, and a big thank you to them because they support us too, for sure. And one other comment we got on Facebook here talking about NOLA for USPKS. I think that's kind of maybe the silent thing we haven't really talked about. NOLA's been regarded as kind of expensive, and only SCUSA was able to really price their way to get there and kind of help TSRS get there. But if NOLA is on the radar for USPKS, everybody knows the parking's there. It's gotten a little bit bumpy, but that would be a major, major play, I think, for them. And it would be probably the most convenient thing for the teams if we went there with that.
Does WKA still go to Daytona?
It does. Yeah, they're still going to go there. But the way they're running it is really wacky. Last year, Paul, you and Brandon were there last year. Yeah, last year, certain classes ran 1 day, certain classes ran 2 days, all mixed over a 3-day span. So you had like,
it's fun.
Yeah.
Schedule was kind of a little weird though. It was hard for like people, I think, that had to travel far to come, because again, they were only racing for maybe 1 day, maybe 2. It was cool because it took they did barely any practice. I think you had 2 rounds of practice, then you went straight into racing. So that was a cool aspect, but only having like some classes have 1 day of racing, I definitely think did not attract people to come to it.
That's where USPKS needs to go. Daytona.
Yeah.
We need another 50-car grid at Daytona.
Adding on
to
Xander's NOLA USPKS thing, I can't imagine spending a whole month and a half at NOLA. It doesn't excite me.
Might be dangerous.
I don't think it excites anyone, but
I like NOLA.
It's a cool track, but spending a month and a half at any track gets old. I mean, if we're being real.
Yeah.
Just ask Ryan.
You can do
the
layout.
event.
Pick Greenfield, Indiana for a month. It's fantastic.
Hey, it's not as bad as what it's been, right? Remember like 4 or 5 years ago, we would have WK there, USPKS there, test weekend, and SCUSA. And I think they were planning to do a Rock Cup Midwest event before. I remember like looking at it was like either 15 or 16 that we were going to have 6 weeks in a row at Newcastle. So it's not as bad as it could have been, but it's still.
Yeah. I hate spending more than 3 weekends. Like if there's 3 weekends, none of them should be the same track. It's just, it gets old fast.
Let's wrap up a couple more. Let's see. A couple guys asking where we're going with the next few KC events. So our schedule's a bit lighter the end of this year. For those of you guys that got to see the GoPro stream that we did, that's really what we're trying to work on internally for 2022 is to see what we can do to work with each of these series and try to put a live streaming package together for all the major events that we can get to. So and between that and what we had already planned on, we don't have anything extra on the books that we're going to add. So our next events, we're going to CKNA Grand Nationals at Newcastle for the first weekend of October. We're going to go to USPKS for the finale at GoPro. And we'll have, Rock Vegas, and then obviously SCUSA Supernats, which we'll do a little bit of a different episode there because with the live stream and the CBS deal, we can't get on track for Sunday. So we'll be working with some different types of videos to have some fun during Supernats week. We'll have a full vendor booth there so you guys can come out and meet us, and we'll have a lot of merch and stuff like that and a cool little hangout area for anyone that wants to go out to Supernats. We're working on trying to get something really cool there. Hopefully that comes together. But that's our schedule. We're not going to be going to the Rotax event over in Orlando. They just announced the South Trophy deal. We don't have a whole lot of regional stuff on the calendar this year. That's why even like the CKNA races, their Midwest series or their South series we're not at, but we're at their two majors, which is the Spring Nats and then the Grand Nats, which is cool. And then West Coast wise, or out of the country, COVID was tough for us to get, obviously, so we weren't able to do any stuff in Canada, but that's on the radar hopefully for 2022. And then West Coast wise, I'd love to get us out to Challenge of the Americas. Andy Saisman's a good friend and an awesome guy, so it'd be cool to go out there too. But for the rest of the year, we've got CKNA Grands, USPKS GoPro, and then both of our major Vegas events, which would be really cool. So I think that's about all we've got. So
one more thing.
Well, we
I
got
saw
some more Facebook stuff too. I'll hit that in a sec. Go ahead, Colin.
I saw Woods Toth comment, SCUSA to Canada or USPKS to Canada or something like that. And I think it would be a really, really big event because I was in Canada this past weekend. If some people are new to this, I've been in Canada, and like everyone I talk to, like my Europe is their America. So when I go to Europe and race the big international races, going to America is like racing my Europe. So I think that would be like something if we bring it to them. And I think all those club racers, and we might have to make a Briggs class, which would be very large, I'm sure. But I think it would just be a super big event because we'd get the good drivers to go up there, and every Canadian, like not all of them, of course, because budget, of course, but a lot of them would go and enjoy that event because they all talk to me about how much they want to race in America, but it's just a hassle to get down there. And it's really no farther than Wisconsin if you think about it. I mean, like it's flat with Wisconsin. So I think I think it'd work.
I will say from my years of racing with PSL that Canada has made a really good effort at not letting IME get into their country.
Yeah.
And so there's no IME in that entire country. It's just Rotax and Rock, and they do a good job at keeping it out of there. And so that would be, I would agree. I think we should go to like Mont Tremblant and Mossport. Those are both like killer tracks, like best, most pretty tracks I've ever been to. But I don't think the tracks or whoever is the organizing body there will allow an IME series.
Makes sense. Yeah,
I think that's the problem we'll run into.
Yeah.
Well, you think a lot of people are just gonna like not everyone's gonna have the vaccine, and a lot of people are probably not.
That's getting stopped soon.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
that's getting ended soon.
Well, that's
it won't be a thing for long.
Yeah, but like the Canadians coming down here, like they're all used to running motors, but like you said, Connor, they're looking at it as Europe. So I don't know. I think it'd be a good experiment. I don't know if anyone's willing to make that jump as a promoter, but it'd be cool, right? Because that would really start to connect it a little bit more. But like Ryan said, we're running the opposite motors for the most part.
Yeah.
If Rock was to do a combo series, it'd be cool if they had a bigger presence here right now. And I know they're working on it, but it's not there yet. So they couldn't do it. And then, like it'd be betting a lot, right? Let's say you get 75 Americans to go up there, maybe 100, and you're banking on another 100 or 150 Canadians to show up, which their drivers are there, but that's a lot of guys that would have to rent motors that they don't normally own. And that's a big ask, because if you look at even like Supernats or Rock Vegas, most of them will still rent stuff just because it's easier. And I think when CKN does it, the tally is only between like 30 to 50. So it'd be cool. And I don't know. The logistics are always the toughest part to make.
It'd be a hassle for sure.
Yeah, but it'd be cool. And we got a couple ones on Facebook too. Also got a question about Stars in Pittsburgh. Maybe. Don't know on that. We definitely won't be doing a video at the Stars series at Pittsburgh this year, but we might be doing something. I don't know. but I'd love to get to. Stars is a budding series. They can be doing some really cool stuff. And then the Maxxis Nationals. To be honest, the break stuff with what we're doing with the videos themselves, the main reason, and we get a lot on this, and I promise I won't go too much more because I know we're getting right to the end of our hour, but the main thing we've tried to do with our videos this year, everyone, is try to keep the cast the same. And that's why we've done the same thing with like happy hour, at least to start, to get you guys kind of accustomed to following each driver and to hopefully get more and more, guys that maybe aren't at the national level yet or don't have the budget to get there. But, really enjoy karting, because at the national level, that's when everyone comes together and the racing gets really, really close, even in the fast, high horsepower classes, which at club racing, the only close racing usually ends up being 206 and at Strong Clubs KA. So we picked single speed senior with the 125 stuff, where we would have the same guys and have a headline class at each race. Next year, we've got a lot of different stuff we're trying to put together, which will be really cool if it all comes up. And that would open us to do like more, I don't know, like, I wouldn't call it grassroots, because I don't want to make it seem like it's talking down to them, because your CKNA grands are massive, your spring nats are massive, but even those we weren't sure if we could get to all those weekends for us on the budget we're at right now. So, but to do stuff like Maxxis Nationals, the Stars, another budding touring series that I think does have the potential to be national, and the right backing behind it, just needs the right opening to grow. All that stuff is more events we'd love to cover karting at, but at least with what we're trying to do now is make it so you guys feel like, first of all 6 of our characters that are here, or all 5 of our characters here on this show, and some of the other ones we'll be bringing on over the next few weeks as well. So we hope you guys have enjoyed the show tonight. I think we'll sign us off here for another episode of KC Happy Hour. Thank you to all of our partners. Thank you to our 5 guys that are on this week. We'll see them. Everyone's got a big break in racing on the national level a lot for the next bit. So we'll bring on some other guests as well, along with your core 6. And again, we'll see you guys next week.